the people close to him, so to speak, were people either that he paid or that worked for him. I mean, that in other words, they were the CEOs or people that he surrounded himself, that he paid to do things for him. And he really didn't have close friendships. He was not able to really intimately connect with people. And so true also in the world of women. He was married, well, we know for sure of 2 times. He had this first wife that he married right away, Rice, from Rice University, from this very well-to-do family and an academic family, philanthropic family. But he ultimately divorced when he went out to Hollywood with her, and she ultimately left. It sounds like it wasn't a wonderful relationship for her.
She couldn't compete with the 80 World War I airplanes he bought. That was the problem. He got totally obsessed with making the movie Hell's Angels.
Well, see, he got obsessed with things,
yes.
But he really couldn't connect with people or with women. Though what was amazing is how many women were around. So it sounds like being married, that didn't stop him from being with many, many women, many starlets. He had this marriage. He had a very multi-decade marriage, although at the end when she finally... Jean Peters, when she asked for a divorce, she had not seen him in years, let alone, barely had occasionally spoken to him on the phone, apparently. And then there was the question of a third marriage that you said really there was never substantiated. I guess she came forward after he was dead looking for some money, saying that they were married at sea, that no one happened to see that. But they gave her somebody to go away, so it's wondered whether she was another wife. But there were so many women, which I think is so... There was something obviously so charismatic about him. He was very good looking. But beyond that, as you said, he put himself into fields that were fame-getting. Right. So Hollywood, very sexy,
glamorous,
flying a plane, very sexy.
Yep.
And there was woman after woman that he didn't always pursue. They often pursued him. But the most famous women of Hollywood, Betty Davis, Katharine Hepburn, said he was a great love of hers. Ava Gardner, and just incredible. There was Olivia de Havilland and her sister. There were just so many women that he was involved with.
And then the last 15 to 20 years of his life, none, basically. Even though he's married to Jean Peters during that time. We calculated, and I was trying to remember, they married 13 years, I think. They lived together 9 months of those 13 years. They was in a house in Rancho Santa Fe, San Diego County. And Jean wasn't really crazy about that 9 months, because Howard insisted they put a teletype machine in the bedroom. That's a real winner, isn't it, in any kind of relationship? But anyway, thank heaven for that, because all these things were saved and found their way into various court proceedings. But so what kind of a person early in his life, women seem to be important, and then late in life, they're not important at all. And I think it gets back partly
to the mother.
The mother, and also Hughes felt he needed no one.
Right.
And when he was young, in a way, he didn't need anybody, I suppose.
Which really has to do with his mother as well. So I think that to some degree, he was intensely looking for his mother, looking for that relationship where he would feel safe and loved, and he, there was woman after woman in a way. And yet, at the end of the day, he really couldn't trust any of them. He couldn't really be with any of them. I think when someone loses their mother at 17, fears of abandonment, and also, is it safe to be intimate? Because really, when he had his mother, he was really subsumed by his mother. she took over his mind and his body in certain kinds of ways. And
then she bailed.
And then she bailed.
Not by
not by design, not by choice,
not by
right? But exactly. And so I think he must have had just tremendously conflicted feelings about the safety of being with women, and yet he sometimes did these incredibly generous. I forgot which actress he didn't actually get involved with, but she ended up having a baby that was it Jean? No, not Jean Harlow. She had a baby who had rubella during her pregnancy. And there was a child born who was deaf and blind, and he took care of that child for the rest of, even though that wasn't a sexual relationship of his. Apparently with Russell, he never got physically involved, but they stayed friends. He kept her contract after he sold that Hollywood studio. So he made these relationships, but at the end of the day, I think no one got to really know Howard Hughes.